Hey YouTube. Okay, this is I'll give you the specs first. It's a 2018. It's of course a Chevy Silverado. It's a 3500 four-wheel drive Duramax diesel, and it's a cabin chassis truck. So it's a LT model, so it's got leather, things like that. It's got a 9-foot 4-inch CM SK skirted bed on it. I've put leveling keys on it, so I think they're Pro Comp leveling keys. They're not turned up all the way. It's still got more room to crank. I hadn't cranked them up all the way just to where it didn't affect my ride quality as much. So my A-arms are not touching the bump stops, so it gives me a little bit of down travel. These tires are brand new Cooper ST Maxx. They're 285/75 R17 load range E. In order to get these on in the rear, I had to buy some wheel spacers. So they're Bora hub centric aluminum wheel spacers, and they're 2 inches wide. Okay, so I'll start with that. The wheel spacers, I read online where anything less than 2 inches on the wheel spacers, and you have to trim your factory studs. That is correct. First of all, you slide your inner wheel on. Okay, then you take your wheel spacer, you slide it over the hub, up on the studs, and then you've got lug nuts that are countersunk, and you tighten them up. Okay, well, if it's less than 2 inches thick, if it's 1.5 inches or 1 3/4, that stud, the end of it's going to be sticking out. Well, that creates a problem, because now this outer wheel touches those studs. Okay, because it's kind of hard for me to describe. I wish I'd have took a picture. But so your factory studs, this might give you a good example. Factory studs are actually behind here, behind here, behind here. Okay, so then the studs that's on the wheel spacer for the outer wheels is in between them, here, here, here. So if the factory stud was sticking out, the wheel spacer wouldn't push all the way in. Okay, or this wheel wouldn't. So I hope that kind of is a good breakdown for you. I don't know, it's kind of hard. I wish I would have just took a video at the tire store where there'd be some good hard information. But I can tell you, on this GM 2018 model truck, it had to be 2 inches. I mean, it was really close. They didn't touch, but it couldn't be any thinner. So, okay. My torsion keys, they're Pro Comp torsion keys. When I had them put on, I told the shop I had to install them, I said, I don't want them turned all the way up. I actually had measurements from the ground to the bottom of the fenders where I wanted the truck to sit, and they didn't take the time to do that, which I understand. So when I picked it up, A-arms were sitting on the bump stops. So this is your bump stop. This is a stock upper control arm. Okay, this was sitting on this. So in other words, it had no more down travel. So when you hit a bump in the road, the truck just automatically fell in the hole, you know what I mean? Or either the truck come off the ground and then fell in the hole. That's what makes these things ride so harsh when people put torsion keys on them and crank them, is they eliminate all their travel out of the suspension. It's not that the torsion key is tighter necessarily. At least that's my opinion. This truck has torsion keys on it, and they're cranked up, not all the way. It doesn't ride bad. It never tops out, except when you're on the interstate and you're doing about 80 and you hit a really bad bridge or run off in a dip or something like that. It'll top out then, and that's the sensation people's getting when they're driving to work in the morning, when their torsion keys are maxed out and their suspension's bottomed out. Every bump they hit, it's bottoming out, so or topping out, and so that's why it rides so bad. That's just my take on torsion keys. You can take it or leave it. You might have something figured out better, but my truck don't ride bad, and that's the reason why. When I drove it home from the shop, those A-arms were touching that bump stop against it where I had no down travel. Rode like crap. I mean, felt like it was on bricks, like it didn't have suspension. So the 285, 75, 17s, they don't rub in the front where I've got it raised up to. Sorry, it's close, but it doesn't. So I'll walk around here and show you this side. So as you can see, it's close, but it doesn't touch. And so far, I mean, I haven't drove it far. It don't even have 100 miles on it. But I did actually pull a gooseneck trailer to work and have some poles loaded, and had to go over some kind of incline things, and it didn't scrub, so I don't think it's going to. The 2-inch spacers for the rear, that's going to be about how much your tire sticks out if you go with a 2-inch spacer. Not too bad. And here's going to be your clearance with a CM SK truck bed with 285, 75, 17s. Like I say, it's about 4 inches of clearance from the tire to the bottom of that fender. Okay, now that header is pretty flat with the roof. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, so this bed is mounted. It's raised up about 2 inches off of this frame. I don't know if you can see this or not. Okay, so see this piece of metal here? It's a 2-inch piece of square tubing, and it's spacing the bed up off of my frame. Okay, so I guess you can see that. Some manufacturers I've seen, a lot of them actually, use just a piece of pressure treated wood, which I don't know about that. That's the way our work trucks are, and they're Fords. When you drive through ditches, you can hear the bed popping, where it's like, feels like it's kind of moving around on the frame a little bit. This one don't do any of that. Of course, I think the Chevrolet frames are a little bit less flexible. They're a little bit more rigid. So, but anyway, that of course would affect this. So if you didn't have but an 1.5 inch spacer, well, of course you're going to lose about 1/2 inch to what I've got. Or if you've got a 3-inch spacer, you're going to have more room. But if you got a 3-inch spacer, your header board ain't going to be level with the cab. So probably doesn't matter to some people. That's just the way mine was put on. So 285, 75, 17. There's absolutely nothing done to the suspension on the rear of this truck. All it is just Pro Comp torsion keys, leveling keys. Now, one little tidbit of information that you probably already know that could get you a little more height on this truck is I think they make there's a couple of companies, I know of one that's making a kit where basically this control arm gets changed out, and this is like at a different angle right here. So it comes out more straight and then starts dropping down. So it gives you more room to raise up, so you don't have to wind up hitting that stop there. So I don't really want to, I didn't want to spend the money at the time on the A-arms, and I'm glad I didn't, because I didn't need it. I wasn't going to raise mine that high. And you can see this truck sits pretty level. I mean, it's a fuzz lower in the front than in the back, but I mean, I can take that over spending, I think that kit's like $800 to change them A-arms out and everything. It's not really worth it to me. And plus, you know, a lot of times I got something in the bed of this truck, so it squats it a little bit and it winds up sitting level when it's loaded. So that looks good. Okay, one more thing that I just thought about. Wheels. These are the factory steel wheels with simulators. Okay, I actually bought about a year ago some aluminum dually wheels that would have come on maybe, you know, a high country regular truck, regular dually. So they're the aluminum wheels. So that set comes with 2 aluminum front wheels, 2 aluminum rear wheels, and then the inner wheels are steel on that set. Okay, well, I was gonna have these tires mounted on those wheels, and I run into something. The rears, they're only polished in the deep lip. If you take those wheels off and you turn them around like you was gonna put them on the front, that shape of the wheel isn't polished. It's like a milled finish. Same with the front. If you take the front wheel off, it's polished on this side. But if you were to roll it back here and spin it around so that you can put it right there, it's not polished. It's just a milled finish. So, of course, I'm not gonna do all that. I mean, I guess you could get your tires moved on your wheels if you wanted to rotate tires. I'm not doing all that. So I just stuck with the simulators because actually they're more functional. You take those simulators off and these wheels move anywhere on the truck you want them to, and then you just pop the simulators back on. So I actually run those aluminum wheels for a little while, and to be honest with you, I really like the simulators better. They're chrome, the simulators are, so they match the bumper and the grill and everything, and my bar's better. You put those polished aluminum wheels on, and it's a different hue than the bumper and the grill and my bars there. So that's just personal preference, but I never knew about the wheels only being polished on one side. I mean, that's a real problem if you're gonna rotate tires. I guess maybe GM figures if you got enough money to buy a dually, you don't even care about the cost of tires, but I do. So I wanted to keep it where I could rotate mine. I just feel like it's more practical. So, but there again, that's just my opinion. I'm just trying to give you the knowledge that I've accrued in my search for what kind of tire I can put on, what can I do with the wheels, what kind of spacers, what kind of torsion keys. That's what this video is about. It's just kind of tell you my take on things and the research I've done and what I've come up with based on my research and now my actual experience. So this truck's got about 40,000 miles on it, and my factory Michelins, I mean, they still look like they had 20,000 more miles on them, and I just couldn't take it any longer. I was ready for some tires. I was ready to make this thing look tough, and I'm really happy with the way these tires look. They're like a mud tire, all-terrain tire, supposed to be kind of like a hybrid. Honestly, they're really more of a mud tire to me. I mean, these lugs are big and they're really deep, but they're quiet. They ain't making any noise. Of course, they're brand new. They probably won't right now, but there's you a little bit of information on tires on a 3500 dually Chevrolet.